All right, let's get into it. Today, we're doing a deep dive that really pulls back the curtain on something we all deal with constantly: the media.
Yeah, the media landscape.
Mhm.
It's complicated these days.
Exactly. And we've got some really interesting sources to unpack here. There's an audio clip focusing on what some called a Freudian slip from an MSNBC host,
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
and also some reports about an investigative group, Project Veritas.
Right. So, quite a mix.
Definitely. Our goal here is basically to pull out the key insights from all this stuff to help you make sense of this ongoing debate about, how information gets shaped and shared.
And who gets to shape it,
Yeah.
fundamentally?
Yeah.
Who defines what's true? And maybe more importantly, how are those definitions being challenged?
That's a great way to put it. That core tension, the struggle for narrative control, it jumps right out from these sources.
It really does. You've got your traditional news outlets on one side,
Yep.
and then, well, various other players challenging their authority.
Especially now with digital platforms letting people bypass the old gatekeepers,
Yeah.
right?
Precisely. Which brings us, I think, straight to that first source you mentioned, the MSNBC clip.
Yeah, so this source details a moment during a discussion, and it got labeled by many as a Freudian slip.
Okay.
The host was talking about Donald Trump using Twitter, going directly to the public, bypassing traditional media channels.
The direct line.
And the host apparently said something like, it's the mainstream media's job to control what people think.
Oof. Yeah, that phrase definitely landed with a thud for a lot of people.
Well, yeah, and the force points out that this wasn't just about one host's slip of the tongue, maybe.
Right. It tapped into a much deeper suspicion, didn't it? Particularly the source notes among Trump supporters.
From their viewpoint, it looked like the media was, quote, going crazy exactly because Trump was finding ways around them.
Bypassing the gatekeepers, as they saw it.
But then you have the flip side. The sources also show how some within the media saw Trump's direct approach itself as dangerous.
Dangerous because why? Because it undermines the media.
That seems to be the argument presented, yeah. It undermines their role, their authority.
So it's less about a simple slip and more like it just shone a light on this fundamental battle over who controls the narrative.
Exactly. And our sources present a counter-argument, too. They argue that the real danger isn't bypassing the media, but, quote, the lies they claim are spread by some networks.
Okay, so shifting the definition of dangerous.
Right. They even bring up examples suggesting that comparing Trump to figures like Adolf Hitler could, potentially inspire some lunatic to try to harm him.
Wow, okay. That's serious. Did they cite specifics?
Yeah, they mentioned specific language, like when the host reportedly said the phrase, America First had a Hitlerian background.
So it really raises a crucial question for you, listening to this. In such a polarized time, who actually gets to define what's dangerous? Or even what counts as a lie?
It's tough. And the sources also mention this perception that mainstream outlets are, quote, losing so many viewers and so much credibility.
Is that where the CBS slogan comes in?
Seems like it. The source notes CBS's new slogan, Real News, almost as an explicit attempt to win back that public trust.
Interesting. A very direct response to that perceived credibility gap.
And this environment, this credibility gap, is kind of the perfect opening for groups like Project Veritas, isn't it?
Absolutely. They position themselves precisely to challenge those established narratives. Our sources get into James O'Keefe and Project Veritas quite a bit.
And their stated aim, releasing these so-called CNN leaks.
Yeah, they claim they have insiders, people feeding them information. The sources say they claim to have people in CNN's newsroom and other major media outlets giving them internal information and secret videotapes or audio tapes.
It's the method that's really distinctive, though.
Right. The sources describe it as using undercover stings, trying to trap their targets, essentially, and then release that internal info,
And they have a history. The sources mention past investigations, like the one into Acorn.
which eventually led to Acorn shutting down, yeah.
Yeah.
And there was a more recent one mentioned, too.
The inaugural ball incident?
That's the one. Resulted in 3 arrests, apparently, after people were allegedly caught on tape planning to set off stink bombs.
But it's crucial to note, their methods are highly controversial.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
The sources bring that up clearly. They quote CNN's own media analyst, Brian Stelter.
And what did he say?
He characterized O'Keefe as having, quote, a reputation for shady tactics and exaggerated statements, even before these specific CNN tapes came out.
So it really paints a picture of conflicting views on whether what they do is legitimate investigation or something else entirely.
Exactly. Which brings us back to the big picture, right? What does all this mean for you, trying to navigate this stuff?
Yeah, we've touched on these claims about media trying to control what people think.
Uh-huh. And the perspectives that see those efforts, or Trump's bypassing efforts, depending on your view, as dangerous.
And then you have groups like Project Veritas using these undercover tactics, these leaks, sometimes leading to arrests, all to challenge the mainstream narratives.
So it leaves you with a really fundamental question, doesn't it? When you have sources describing their own roles and tactics in such starkly different ways.
How do you figure out what's actually, quote, real news? How do you navigate this landscape effectively?
What stands out to you as you weigh these different approaches to getting information out there? It's something worth thinking about.